I love you guys.
Dance off, bro. I have the high ground.
Expecto Patronum!
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor. Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Will and I just decided to do another impromptu podcast tonight because of all the announcements that came out last night from San Diego Comic-Con 2024. And Will and I are going to talk about the 3 movies that got highlighted, some sneak peeks, and of course, like the big bombshell that happened last night that everybody's talking about. So, Will, I'm going to let you host this one, and we'll kind of just discuss everything. So, the floor is yours.
Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of news, all throughout social media about what's going on. Obviously, with the big reveals, the big 3 movies, we got Captain America 4, got the Thunderbolts, and then we got a reveal of the Fantastic Four film.
Yeah.
And I think those are the 3 movies that we're going to be working with upcoming, and I'm excited for them, but I'm also very nervous at the same time too, because the one I think, because I'm excited, honestly, believe it or not, for Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
because I think they are necessary to have in this universe. I feel like because they've been done wrong so many times, it also makes me nervous, but I want to see it succeed. And I think this might be the time that it actually sticks. I mean, because in that reveal, there was a lot of footage that they revealed.
Yes. Yep.
And it was crazy. Galactus, that was the
hearing through the building. Yeah.
And right away, I don't and again, it's an early footage, so a lot can change in this time.
Right.
But I just, even in that quick glance, we are already leaps and bounds better than the Rise of Silver Surfer Galactus, where it was just a space cloud.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think the Fantastic Four, they're the one I'm most excited about for sure. But, there's the Thunderbolts, your band of misfit villains from the shows and all that, I don't know. I'm trying to get excited for it. But Cat 4 2 actually surprisingly caught my attention with the trailer. And I think it was more so to do with Ross and Red Hulk, and personally.
Yeah.
But
my favorite, I would say Fantastic Four as well. Even just the footage we got was just proved to me why we should be excited for this to go right this time, actually. And I'm someone that was really excited when Pedro Pascal was when the rumors were even dropping that he was going to be Reed Richards in the MCU. And so I was really excited for that. And then Vanessa Kirby looks the part of Sue Storm. She looks on point. And then Joseph Quinn, I loved him in Stranger Things as Eddie Munson. So I mean, I was going to say him or his co-star Joe Keery, who played Steve Harrington. I was going to go for either one of them as the Human Torch. So great. And then, I mean, I don't know Eban Moss-Bachrach, who's going to play the Thing. I don't know him, but I've heard he's a good actor. And even the shadow we saw of the Thing in that trailer, looked really good. So
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Fantastic Four, seeing Pedro in the role, it kind of actually gave me some confidence, because he's a hot commodity right now in terms of in Hollywood. You throw him into a movie and it's gonna get people's attention, and rightfully so. I think he's a very solid actor. I'm just sometimes worried though. It's whenever you jump on a hot commodity, it almost seems it's oh, this is gonna be the movie that ends the hot streak or something. But I think he's gonna do fine in it. He's a really good actor. But man, dude, I'm also nervous though too, because I just don't know, with how they've been going lately, their track record is more in the negatives, and but I think they of all three of these movies, I think the one that needs to succeed the most is Fantastic Four.
Yes. Yep. It's because of the fact that they've already confirmed that they're also going to be in the 2 Avengers movies, and they're going to be a huge part once they come out in this universe. So and we guessed that as well. But yeah, absolutely, this needs to succeed. If it flops, then Marvel's in real trouble.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think of the three, the one that they'll be fine if it flops is Thunderbolts. I think that, especially because I think it's just because the characters that they're bringing in are just reminds people of a bad era of Marvel.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just gonna flop because I don't see people really gravitating towards it. I see Fantastic Four because that's an iconic name and iconic to the Marvel brand in general.
Yep.
And I think that's going to pull people. Cap 4, I think, will pull people. I think that's going to be a low-key one. I hope it does well. But it's also at the point, too, though, where it's like I see it not doing as well just because everyone's in this nostalgic mindset of they see Captain America and they're like, oh, that's not Steve Rogers.
Right.
And it's like, it's nostalgic, a tough thing to do, to deal with. That's like one of the hardest things about to fight when you're doing multiple movies in a storytelling arc.
Right. And I mean, the fact that we also haven't seen Sam Wilson or Anthony Mackie, we haven't seen him in 3 years at this point, or 4 years. This is going to be, insane that we have not seen that character through, most of this multiverse saga because of the fact that Falcon and Winter Soldier was the second project in the multiverse saga.
And it's not like even that was a bad project.
No, I like Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I thought it wasn't great thing, but it was a solid show. And then it gave Sam a lot of character and development in the role of I think what's great about that show is you got the character development of Sam accepting the role as Captain America.
Yes. Yep.
And I think they're gonna touch on it a little bit again because the clips you see in the movie you see General Ross or President Ross at this rate the way they're saying what a lot of people in the fandom has been saying. It's you're Captain America but you're not Steve Rogers. So I think they're going to touch on that theme again of Sam finding his own place in the role with the title of Captain America, which is fine. I just hope it's not throughout the whole movie because based on his his response in the trailer, it seems like he's just yeah, you're right, and he's just I'm not supposed to be I'm me. So I think we might get a little bit of it. Yeah, but I think we're gonna see a growth in Sam's character to where it's just he's accepted the role as Captain America.
Yep. Yeah, and then to touch on General Ross or President Ross now, Harrison Ford is replacing William Hurt, which seeing the trailers and then seeing Harrison Ford actually pretend to Hulk out. I was okay, I'm sold more so on Harrison Ford being in this now.
This man, either they're paying him so much money or he's genuinely happy about this role. It probably might be both. But seeing him do that, this man has not been the most very enthusiastic person when it comes to projects. If he doesn't like a project, he's known to
he hates Star Wars.
Yeah, he hated Star Wars. And it was before the sequels too. He hated it in the original.
You're right.
Original, yeah, because if I remember, there was a thing. The reason why they killed him off was, or they put him in the carbonite chamber because they were killing him off because he may not have been back.
Yeah.
But so seeing him go through all that, I think it gives me hope that this is probably a script and it's probably with a director too that he genuinely trusts or it sees potential with this movie. Or he's just at the point of his career, he's fuck it, I don't care.
82 years old. He's just
he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
Now, here's where I'm a little bit concerned, or I wouldn't say concerned. This is going to be a bittersweet thing. If they pull off Red Hulk successfully, it's going to give me hope that they're going to find a way to get our Hulk back.
Bruce Banner.
But the bitterness is going to be we're going to see probably Red Hulk is going to be a version of what we wanted our Hulk to be all along.
Yes.
Like, and that's where I'm going to be like bittersweet, because I hope that I'm praying that they pull off Red Hulk very well, because I think it'd just be a better sign for Hulk future projects in general.
Yeah, I'm optimistic that they are gonna understand how to do Red Hulk correctly. Let's hope. Some other things, interestingly, so Kevin Feige also confirmed that they are finally tying in Eternals, and what President Ross and like what Sam is gonna be fighting for is like this giant celestial coming out of the ocean. Adamantium is inside, so they're putting that in finally, and like finally we can tie Eternals in after 4 years.
I mean, I've never been like really upset about that whole idea. It's always been like, yeah, jokingly the elephant in the room kind of deal, because there's a giant Eternal in the water. But the way I kind of just like justified it for them was just like, at this point, the planet Earth has gone through so many different alien invasions at this point.
True.
Like, oh no, a giant alien's kind of creeping out of the ocean. Okay, yeah, you know what? Sure, of course there is. Like, I think at this point, the planet Earth is just like, of course there is. Like, aliens. Like, we've seen an invasion multiple times at this rate, you know?
Exactly.
So that's how I've justified it for them, right or wrong. But, like, yes, it is still really cool that we're going to finally start tying that back in.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, again, I think it's more so, I think they're finally stepping in it. I think the reason why they never really tackled it was because they were focusing more on this multiverse idea. They were branching away from our Earth. But no, I think maybe now they're going to try to bring it back, which is why I'm really actually, or at least our universe, I should say, because Fantastic Four, if they deal with Galactus, I wouldn't say that's like a specific Earth problem. Like, it usually is, but you know what I mean.
Right.
But that's the good thing about Cap 4 is Captain America movies are really good at least bringing the focus back to our Earth.
Yes.
And I don't see them doing any multiverse shenanigans in Cap 4.
Hopefully not. I'm cool with it being a more grounded thing. Some other things, Danny Ramirez is returning as the new Falcon, Joaquin Torres from Falcon Winter Soldier. So that's cool. Tying that together, and that's the fact that Sam gave him his wins at the end of the show. So I like that they're having continuity there. Also, Isaiah Bradley is back from that show as well, and the trailers that edit out the part where he's trying to assassinate Ross, in light of recent events. And so yeah, it's interesting to like bring back these characters from the shows finally, and like
in a big screen format too. Like, it's gonna be different than like TV show perspectives. Do you think Bucky's gonna make an appearance?
I think by the end, but he's also gonna be in Thunderbolts. So I mean, like, either they're probably gonna try to set up Bucky at the end to go into Thunderbolts, and Sam's gonna pop up by the end of that too.
What's the order? Is it Cap 4 then Thunderbolts?
Yes, it's Cap 4 in like February, and then Thunderbolts is in the summer.
Okay, because like that because then I see what you're saying. Because like that's where I was like, I wonder if they are gonna have Bucky show up, you know, a little bit, or like, because I think where it gets interesting with these three movies is the biggest, as of right now, the most obvious connection is Cap 4 and Thunderbolts is going to be the biggest tie. I don't know if they're going to try to loop in Fantastic Four in any of these. Maybe they do.
I don't know.
I think it'd be a stretch. I think maybe they might hint at it, you know, because like, who knows?
Yeah.
But like, I think the bigger connections are going to be between Cap 4 and Thunderbolts, like the hints and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we might hear of like the Baxter building, but that I feel like that's the most we'll probably hear until Fantastic Four comes out.
Because looking at like what the early release with the Fantastic Four, it looks like Fantastic Four is kind of a similar thing with how Captain Marvel was. It's like a movie that happened in a much earlier time period. You know what I mean? A story that we haven't told yet, kind of deal.
Yep, and I will say with Fantastic Four, if we're jumping into that, unless you wanted to jump somewhere else, but they did confirm that they're skipping like the origin story of Fantastic Four, and they're just kind of throwing us in, which is probably the right strategy because, like Spider-Man, when Tom Holland came along, we didn't deal with the origin story because everybody knew what it was from the 2 other times we did it. Here we've also done it 2 times before, that technically 3, but nobody cares about the old 90s version. But so 2, and so like here we can just throw us in. We know that they were astronauts, going up into space and got affected by gamma radiation. Like we know what happened there. So
yeah, I think that's probably what they're gonna do. And I think maybe the early release trailer, or like trailer, I'll call it, that might be like I wonder if they're just flashback setups.
that,
You know what I mean? And I think, to be honest, like this is me like saying some crazy shit at this point, but I'm just spitballing here. I think a good move would be like for their early release footage that they released because everybody was watching and all that. You make that their origin story essentially,
yeah,
because they're such an iconic team, and they're like you said, we've seen it before. If you just do those shots as the early release footage of it, and then you could just jump into the action, I think you do a good job at setting it up because we are, like you said, we already know what the Fantastic Four is about.
yeah,
So I think seeing them being well established, I think it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see them established with their powers. I think we're going to see them as an established team in this movie.
yes, yep,
And that's what I kind of hope. I hope we get them where they're already at this point. We come into the movie and they already say it's like, hey, these guys have been doing this for a little bit. Their team is this,
right,
and then we can go from there. Especially since we're jumping straight into like hits with Galactus. That would be one hell of a leap. Being like, hey, here's a brand new team. We just learned our powers, and we're already launching to go fight one of the biggest threats to the Marvel universe there is, if not the biggest. I'll say.
Which is insane that we're already bringing in Galactus, and like I assume that this Galactus isn't going to be one and done. I assume there'll be bigger ramifications with Galactus in the Doom movie, Avengers Doomsday. That's
And then like
Doomsday and Secret Wars. Yeah,
I think so too. I think what I think it might be, before I get very excited about the fact of Galactus, I wonder if they're gonna pull like what they did with Thanos. Like that moment we've seen with Galactus, it might be just like an ending scene kind of deal. Like you probably won't, like he's probably not gonna be the main antagonist in this movie, and he shouldn't be.
right.
Like, I think that would be a mistake if they make him the main antagonist of this. I think they should have somebody else. I don't know who, because I mean we're going to talk about it a little bit later. But we're like, we're just now getting Doom,
Yes,
but he's in a later project. So it's like I think there might be a new villain we see, or like a villain we haven't seen on the big screen yet come in for that role, and then like towards the end, it's going to be revealed that Galactus is coming essentially. So I think that's the way they're going to do it, and I hope they do it.
yeah.
They need to handle Galactus just as carefully as they did Thanos, if not more. And that's just
Well, because they already threw a little bit, not some of their fault, and then some of the fault was Jonathan Majors, but like they already dropped the ball on Kane. So like,
and you know what? And I think for as much as sometimes it's good to keep cards close to your chest and not reveal too much, I think they had to reveal Galactus to save Marvel, because, or like just even to give a pulse back, because it's just like people were really not feeling it. So I think you have to at some point just show your hand a little bit, be like, hey, here's a tease. And I think they did a right move with that. Now with the right moves, we got another big move coming back. The OGs, the Russo brothers, are now returning to the MCU, along with the old head writer. I forgot what you mentioned.
Stephen McFeely. Matt mentioned, reminded me of that. So, so I mean, he's one of the co-writers with Christopher Marcus, who I guess isn't coming back at this point. But either way, we got one of the head writers. We got the Russo Bros, it's amazing. Like this was the Russo Bros coming back was like a rumor from like a few weeks ago. So like people were already speculating that Marvel was doing this. And it again, they're trying to save Marvel. They know the Russos' track record of making 4 slam dunk successes for Marvel.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
And
like,
handling characters, they did really good at handling characters,
yes.
especially multiple characters as well. I think this is like a good move. Honestly, I hope when the Russo brothers come back, I hope Kevin's just like, here, whatever you want, you do. Like, give them full reign, no restrictions. Even if you like, I wouldn't even care if anybody were to make like a retcon move. If the Russos did that, as long as it's not like super like outlandish, I think I would be fine. If the Russo brothers for some reason were to retcon some things, I think at this point nobody would really complain if it came from the Russo brothers. Depending on how big or how wild it is, but I think overall nobody would really care. Especially if you touch like retcon the multiverse like era, you retcon some stuff that happened in there. Probably some people just don't even remember the thing. So you retcon it, it'd be like, oh, this is how it always was.
They don't even know, like the multiverse rules keep changing every single movie at this point, I feel like.
Because there's so many different like rules to it. There's so many different versions of the multiverse and ways to engage with it. Like it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a good sign. I think Marvel's trying to really go back to their roots, which is they need to. I think the move with the Russo brothers is really good.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
Do you think people at this point though are so tainted by this previous phase that it doesn't matter what the Russo brothers do? Do you think people's opinion are just that locked, like have given up on Marvel?
I feel like some people unfortunately have. I mean, it's the problem was that it took so long for Marvel. I feel like Marvel should have realized things were not working out maybe a little bit earlier, because it took them like 2 years to really figure out, okay, some of this stuff just isn't hitting as much as it used to. And I get it takes time, it takes production. Like a lot of stuff was already in production before they tried to figure it out. Disney also was like, Bob Chapek was running Disney into the ground. So it's like, it wasn't just like Kevin Feige's stuff. I think it was a lot of what Disney wanted and like literally forcing them to have more output for more projects. So for Disney Plus. So like it's tough. I think it can be salvaged. I think that people are gonna start coming back now, especially because of Deadpool and Wolverine. Like I really think that brought some people back into the fold.
I agree. I mean, I think if there's anybody like we can really trust with it is the Russo brothers. They got a good track record when it comes to these Marvel projects. And like, but like, I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot of expectations and pressure to be throwing back on the Russo brothers, because like that's the thing that I think it's a good move for sure. Like it's not like you have to make a move like this. It's a smart move for them to bring them back. The Russo brothers are incredible at what they do. I'm just wondering, like at this point though, it's like, what are they gonna like? What are they gonna get to work with? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. Like I hope Kevin just gives them whatever they want. Like if the Russo brothers want to make changes to something, by all means, go ahead. Like
yeah,
I wouldn't care about that. And like between that is like also too is there's a lot of the old classic actors from the Marvel roles. A lot of them have done their time, and they're just like I'm all set. Like I know Chris Evans. Like he said he's good on Captain America. Like, he's done with it. Like he's had his fun with it, which I think is a blessing, and it's also kind of a sad thing because everyone loves Steve Rogers. But at the same time, it's good that at least he said he's like, I'm done with Captain America. Like he's still available, to use for roles, but he straight up said that he's like, I won't take Captain America again. Right. I think the only project that he's rumored to be working on is like it's like a short special of him returning the stones. And I think that may be his like, if that comes out, that would be his last project, I believe, with the role as Captain America.
Yeah, I feel like that's been rumored for since Endgame came out, really.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I think Chris is really probably content with just finishing Steve's story.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I'm good. I don't need to see any more of him as Captain America. I think his story ended on the best note. He handed the shield to Sam. Like, I think it's good to be.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to let go. Speaking of big returns, we got a very iconic one. We got Robert Downey Jr. returning as Dr. Doom.
Yes.
And that has made the fandom very divided. How are you feeling about it, man?
So I messaged my dad shortly after that reveal, and he did not like it. I'm gonna read the message out that he sent to me. So all right. I said, well, Robert Downey Jr. is returning to Marvel, but as the villain in the next two Avengers movies, just to simplify it for them. My dad's like, that's terrible. I'm like, I mean, it's kind of cool, but also definitely weird and feels desperate. And my dad's like, I won't be able to get over it. So, yes, I think it feels weird in so many ways and feels so desperate that they're like, okay, we need to turn back to Robert Downey Jr. Now that he's won an Oscar, he'd be more willing to like come back and into the Marvel world that helped like skyrocket his career.
Yeah, it saved his career. It ultimately saved him.
Yeah, of course. So I'm worried in the sense that just like it definitely reeks of some desperation. And they know that's gonna be probably a slam dunk success to just have Robert Downey Jr. attached to this like as the next villain. And honestly, I would have been I feel like I would have almost preferred just like another actor to like play Doctor Doom. And I feel like there were other options out there. I even would have been fine with a previous actor that had played a previous like one-off villain. Like I know Mads Mikkelsen, who was Caecilius in Doctor Strange, he was like rumored for a while to be Doctor Doom, and I would have been okay with that because that's a great actor who got a raw deal with a really bad villain that was a one-off thing. So like I would have been totally okay with him. There's other actors I'm sure that were rumored that I can't remember off the top of my head that I would have been good with too, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
Big big hype on the reveal personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was very excited during the actual presentation because it was very cool to see. Like it was, I loved it. I can't lie. I think the pros is you can't go wrong with Robert Downey Jr. He was a core aspect of what made the Marvel Universe the Marvel Universe. So if you're gonna bring out the big guns, that's the way to do it, especially for a big time villain.
Yeah.
I think maybe in their mindset was while they would love to recast, I would love to see a new actor in the role of Doom for a new face to it all. We got two other versions of Doctor Doom that were
not good.
Very missed. Yeah, it was like, see, I didn't mind the one from like the original Fantastic Four, you know, Rise of Silver Surfer, and then
yeah, I can't remember the actor's name, but
I didn't mind him too much because I think personally, like after when we got the remake of it all, that Doom was so bad it made me appreciate the original one more.
Yeah.
But like I would have like I'm with you. I would have loved to see a new actor in that face, but like at the same time, I get what they. This is like strictly a business decision, and it's just like, hey, we got to like really get people excited, and even if it's by like a very like a very mixed reaction, people are talking about it. When people talk about something, it's people are gonna go see it because they just need to know, like, what's this gonna be like?
Yeah,
I'm not too concerned about seeing the face, and it's hard not going to be seeing the face and thinking, "Oh, that's Iron Man."
Right.
I think this is going to be like another version. They're probably what they're going to do is probably going to be some spin on the multiverse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because in the comics, there is the actual like source panels where Tony Stark became Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Took on their role, so it's like there's at least sources in the comics to back up, like, hey, it is possible to see the face of Iron Man in the position of Doctor Doom. I think they're gonna play it off as a multiverse thing. Like this Tony Stark went more down on the selfish role, more about weapons and power, and he used his gifts and knowledge for the purpose of Doom. I'm just wondering then at this point, is this going to be a different kind of Doom then? Because there's I think the main thing a lot of people like with Doctor Doom was like he's the leader of his nation, he is a dictator, but like he's all about like doing the best for Doom and his country. Like he'll do whatever he's got to do, you know. And I think a lot of people really like that version of Doom. So seeing Robert Downey Jr. taking on the role, I wonder if they're gonna play off the whole fact that, you know, the whole Iron Man thing, you know, face of Tony Stark kind of deal, or if they're just gonna ignore it completely. And like I think that if they ignore it completely, it's gonna be such a bold thing. But I think at the same time, it might be the better move, honestly.
Yeah. So to speak on that, yeah, like I almost think they definitely should do that. But then the other question is, if they do make it seem like, okay, these characters realize it's the face of Tony Stark, like what is Spider-Man's reaction going to be, especially because of what Tom Holland's Peter Parker, what his story was in the MCU with Iron Man, and then, you know, what Sam Wilson gonna think, what Captain Marvel's gonna like, what these characters are gonna think that knew who Tony Stark was, if they play it that way. But I agree with you. I think I want it to be just like they play it off like, you know, normal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because like with Doom, he's gonna have a mask on, and then even if you have a moment without the mask, you can make it scarred up to where you know it's gonna be him, but you know what I mean. Like you can scar it up to where it's like a character wouldn't be able to really pick out that's the face of Tony Stark, you know what I mean? Because it's so scarred up. Because there's a reason why he wears like, you know, the mask and all that. So I mean, if we get it, if they completely ignore it and just give us Doom with the straight up mask the whole time, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like I think that would probably be the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like we're looking for like when people want to see Doctor Doom, I don't think a lot of people are really gonna care too much for like you know, it's like, oh, what's the origin? Maybe they will. You know, I could be wrong. You know, there's people out there that would probably love a Doom origin story. But I think a lot of people would just enjoy the fact of like, here's the character. He's already established himself as a dictator. He's a leader of a nation. He is Doom. Like he's already here in position of power. I think people would just enjoy that ride and that journey from there on. And I think that might be the better way of doing it and just saving them so much of a headache. Because I feel like if they do just open that can of worms of hinting like or making like a reference to, oh, he's got the face of Tony, but this is a different universe guy, I think that just spirals out of control, and then you're just gonna get into an endless loop of just what if theories and shit like that.
Right.
Because then I think the fans are gonna be like, well, we need to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man reaction to seeing Tony. We need to bring back Steve Rogers then, you know, to see what happened with Tony. You know, like, you know, I think it would spiral out of control where everybody just wants to see then the old versions of characters come back in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to think about. You know, we have a couple years before, well, I mean, next year we'll probably see, like, that's another credit scene. We'll probably see Doctor Doom appear in a credit scene by the end.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think they're probably gonna test the waters a little bit on it.
Yeah, well, and also like the fact, like I believe Matt Shakman, who is directing Fantastic Four, who also directed WandaVision, he said that he knew about Robert Downey Jr. being Doom like a while ago. So of course he would, because they're gonna tie together.
Oh, for sure. So, I mean, hey, you know, like you never know at this point. I mean, I don't know. I think I think overall it's gonna be more of a pro. I think people are just like really caught up in the whirlwind of it all because like we didn't expect to see Robert Downey Jr. back, especially because like the ending for Iron Man was perfect.
Mhm.
Like there was a full loop and everything. It's almost like a similar conversation people were having about, you know, with Wolverine coming back and, you know, Hugh Jackman is like, yo, you don't want to ruin the ending of Logan and all that, you know, but like talking a little bit about it, they did fine. Like they made it work. So I think they're going to be fine. They're not going to touch the Iron Man stuff with Robert Downey Jr. being Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think their best bet would just be don't even address it. Some things are just not meant to. Like the fans, no matter what, are going to talk.
Right.
You know, fans are fickle. Like we never know what we really want. Like we say we want something, but then we get it, and then it's like, okay, cool. That's just how fans are, though. But I think overall, it's a good. I think it's just this is just Marvel going back to the roots, quite literally. Getting the Russo brothers, you're getting Robert Downey Jr. back in some shape or form. Honestly, I think this will be kind of a good move too, because then we can see Robert Downey Jr.'s talents on the villain side of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm very curious that it's how it's gonna go. I'm still gonna go see it. Like I'm not gonna be like spoiling it. It's like no, I'm excited.
I've sat through enough of the bad from the MCU recently that I can take some disappointment if there is some, but like, you know.
Oh yeah. And at this point, it's like we sat through so much like bad and mid to where we're like, this is like probably I think the most excitement the fans have had for these projects in a bit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But like with that being said, you know, and the excitements and all that, how you feeling about the state of Marvel just in general? Like after the reveals, after recently just seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, like we're not gonna like talk about it here, but like just after putting all that together and how it's been, how are you feeling about Marvel as a whole right now?
I'm honestly feeling optimistic. Deadpool and Wolverine, like I think I said it. I think Marvel's back in a way. Like it really felt like that. And yes, it's like more of like, referencing the fondness to Marvel's past, really, of like the groundwork being laid for the MCU. It's really just referencing that. But like it was just done so tastefully, and like it just feels like Marvel's getting back into, doing what they've done in the past. And I just I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping we don't stick to what has not worked in the last few years. But I really feel like, especially like we're reducing output, looks like we're getting back to quality instead of quantity. And so like that's what I'm hoping for. And I know I've been higher on a couple things than some of you have been as well, but then I've also been realistic with some stuff, and I've also not been fond of some stuff recently because I know it's bad. So I'm hoping for the best here. I think another real test just to make sure. I feel like Captain America 4 has to hopefully succeed, because then it's going to be like, okay, we can get it back to where Marvel is just getting hit after hit like they used to. So
right. So you think out of out of it all, Cap 4 has to be like the one that succeeds then?
I think so, because then because it's also going to be like a solo project. Yes, there's going to be
next upcoming project too, following up Deadpool and Wolverine essentially. So it's you need to put out back-to-backs kind of deal.
Yeah,
because Marvel went through that stretch where it's like, cool shit, cool fuck, and you're like we were. And I would argue even like where we were like, oh, that was really good. I would think overall, I think in recent times, like that I can remember because this past phase has been massive, like a lot of projects.
Phase 4 and 5, yeah. So from my memory, the good stuff. So I would argue
Guardians 3 is, I think,
Guardians 3 for sure. Obviously, Shang-Chi. I would argue that the first year of the Marvel shows, I know we have, you weren't as fond of Loki, but if you put the two seasons together, it is a complete story for Loki. So at least you can say that now. And then Falcon Winter Soldier and WandaVision and Hawkeye, I think were all really solid. Spider-Man No Way Home, of course. And then I feel like I'm trying to think of Black Panther Wakanda Forever for the hand they were dealt.
I think overall, like, Guardians 3 is top of the line. Like, that is
crown jewel,
that is the crown jewel throughout the phases. And I'm a big Shang-Chi fan.
Yes.
But like, as much as I love Shang-Chi and I think it is one of the upper like movies of it, like when I rated Shang-Chi, like that was before Guardians 3 came out. But when Guardians 3 came out, yeah, Guardians 3 is by far
the best
story.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi is good. Those are two legit movie projects. I think the shows are solid, but I think overall, because of how many came out after and other projects, we just favor them more.
That's true. That's true.
I think Loki season 2 is better than season 1.
Oh, yeah.
I think outside of Tom Hiddleston, there's nothing really about Loki that really it's not. I don't. You're not putting it. I think it's solid. I'm gonna say solid, but compared to everything else, it's really fucking good.
Yeah. Well,
like, I think personally, Moon Knight. Like this is me personally. I personally think Moon Knight was the best show to come out of it. But Moon Knight, yeah, but Moon Knight has its flaws, and I don't think we haven't even touched on Moon Knight in a long time. They said that they were going to be trying to bring that shit back, you know?
Who knows when we're going to see Steven and Mark and Jake again? Like,
well, and there's like just so, and that's like the big downside, and where like what put Marvel in this weird state is like they've done so much quantity that we have so much now. Like Marvel in the past, they were good at introducing characters, but it was still in a controlled way. It was like, okay, we have a few extra characters to play with and pull out of nowhere when we need to. Now there's just so much. There's still talks about a Vision project from when he got reborn in WandaVision. You got whatever's going on with the Marvels now with their after their
we're gonna get Wonder Man introduced.
You were getting that. There's the fucking talks of Nova now.
Yes, Nova's a thing. Kevin Feige did confirm it in an interview.
And then even like back with the Eternals, which I know you weren't like crazy about, but I enjoyed the Eternals. But you have the Eternals themselves.
Yeah,
Blade has been hinted for the longest time, and then even like Blade has been a commodity that people have been talking about lately. Like we have all these characters that like we're trying to like they just threw out that we're spending more time we spend more time being like, oh, they're working on this project. Are they? I don't know. I feel like they've been working on this project for like a long time now. And then when we get a project update on something, it's a character that pretty much nobody asked for.
Right. Which is so to go on that. So Shang-Chi we haven't seen in a while.
He got hurt though.
The Eternals. Shang-Chi's coming. We know that. Simu Liu has like been out there and whatnot. We know he's coming back. Werewolf by Night, we don't know if that's ever coming into play either.
I think that was just a special. I'm not really counting too much of specials because I think specials were meant to be like one shots kind of deal. That's fine.
That's fair. That's
like I'm talking more so of just like the shows that had multiple things. Because Werewolf by Night was just a special that they had. I'm not going to count that. I think Werewolf by Night was actually a good thing they did because it was just like, hey, here's a special. Don't get too invested in these characters. Here they are, right here. Cool.
Right. Halloween special. Happy Halloween.
Perfect. Oh, and you know what? Even if it wasn't your cup of tea, that's fine. It's a special. Like
I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was a good special. It was unique. But like, lately, like how I feel about Marvel is just after seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm a bit more optimistic. And these announcements, but oh man, I'm just so like I've never gone through such a stretch where I have not been this excited. Like I have not. Like I usually like was so excited with Marvel movies coming out.
Yeah.
But after like these past couple phases, I've just been. I'll see it when it gets to Disney Plus.
Yeah, that I know that feeling because I know JJ's been feeling the same way. I'm pretty sure when we've talked with him and he waits for stuff to get to Disney Plus too, and I'm just like, I just remember when the three of us would like couldn't wait to get to the movies and watch these. Like
we were rewatching it like when we were doing that when we first started all this and we were doing the rewatch of it. I got excited to like watch these again, and then when we started catching up. And the new ones were coming out a little bit. That was like early on in phase 4. Yeah. So our opinions were still like, riding the high of Endgame and Infinity War.
Right.
But like towards then, all of a sudden we were just like, oh boy, shit.
Yeah.
No, but like it's hard not to feel optimistic with what they're doing. Like they're doing the right moves. I'm just, and I'm hoping they don't. They shouldn't. They have all the opportunity and the tools. Everything's right there in the palm of their hands with what they're doing. If for some reason any of these things flop bad, if 2 out of 3 of these the big movies flop, I think Marvel's dead.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to get to Avengers Doomsday or the later Avengers projects.
Yeah.
Because what made the Avengers special was the build up to it. You actually had characters get their own time, their shine, to where it's like when you felt satisfied, and then you were like, I can't wait for them to meet.
Yes.
Now we're at a point where we're like, we don't even give a fuck who's on the Avengers right now because you don't even like the individuals. You don't. Why would you care about the Avengers if you didn't like them individually? And you think putting them all on the same screen together is going to make people like it? No, they're going to hate it more. Yeah. If anything, they're going to be like, oh, how convenient. Every character that I've hated this phase is just right there on one screen. Like, you have to build it. Like they need to make this work.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's the biggest thing. I'm hoping, like I said, after seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, I feel optimistic. But at the same time, though, too, part of me is worried is the main story revolves around 2 established characters that people already really liked. We're still trying to get people to enjoy the new characters they're trying to pass the mantle. There are people who will never like Sam Wilson as Captain America because they just don't see anybody else other than Steve Rogers. And I'm not even talking about other wrong, bigoted reasons. I'm talking about they just simply can't get over the nostalgia. Because nostalgia is the biggest reason why nobody's gotten over, Steve Rogers. That's the main.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What's up, bud?
I think you're correct on that. Like, I mean, there's some people, unfortunately, that have very wrong reasons for not liking Sam Wilson, but like, I think you're right in that most people that aren't as into him definitely are just more into Steve. So
yeah, and like I said, nostalgia is the biggest enemy to continuing the story because people will not. It's hard to let go because people loved the movies when they came out because it reminded them of a happier place in their time.
Yeah.
And it's fair. We all have nostalgia for things. Hell, like I'm more favorable to the older movies too because I like the time that I was at with it. Yep. There's memories I have seen them for the first time that raise certain movies up for me.
Yeah.
But like at the same time though, it's like I think also there's going to come to a point though where we have to recognize as much as we grew up with this, the story continues because it's not always about us. It's about the next generation of fans who are like growing up. Like Sam Wilson, for like some people, that's their Captain America.
Right.
That's their Captain America because that's the one they see. Yeah. So it's like, I think if we don't want the MCU to die, because I would hate it if it did, because I love it so much, because I grew up with these characters and the heroes. I think we as fans need to like just swallow a hard pill of, listen, we grew up with a certain set of movies. Even if we can objectively or subjectively say, like, these movies were better for us at these times. At the end of the day, we don't want to, like, stomp out new fans that are coming in. It's like, all right, they like Falcon as Captain America. They like Sam Wilson as Captain America, I mean. Cool, let them enjoy it, because that's what they're witnessing for the first time. They didn't get to see Steve Rogers. You could show them, like, by all means, maybe they changed their mind. Maybe they like Steve Rogers more. But at the end of the day, like, if they're going to the theater to see Captain America, let them enjoy it.
Right, of course. So, no, I mean, I guess, which character are you, like, most excited to see next year come in? I mean, we didn't really touch too much on the Thunderbolts. I mean, I would say probably, I think Pedro Pascal, Reed Richards, I think Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie, and then out of the Thunderbolts, I mean, I'm honestly interested in some of those characters from the show. Like, I'm excited for US Agent, honestly. I think he was an interesting character in Falcon Winter Soldier, and that he was just this very morally gray character.
It's a pretty solid, like, great character. Like, it's, like, very underappreciated. And
yeah.
I think who I'm most excited for, honestly, is how they handle Red Hulk. I've always been a Hulk fan, so seeing Red Hulk is I think I'm excited for.
Mhm.
I'm hoping the early like teaser, like the trailer, like the quick little glimpse you see. I hope when we get to the movie, the CGI is a bit better for it.
Oh yeah.
Like in the trailer, and it's early still. I'm sure they're gonna have plenty of time to clean things up and all that.
You would
Not
hope.
that. Yeah, we hope. But with who's coming back in town and the direction they're going, I think they're gonna clean it up. At this point, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I think at this point, because I feel like, I mean that we'll talk about it in our review. There's maybe it was deliberate. Like there's a couple spots in Deadpool and Wolverine where maybe the CGI could have been shaped up a little bit better, but I didn't care because like most of it was still great. Like
Oh yeah, well, like, when you deal with a lot of CGI, you tend to notice where it slacks off, but at the same time, it's just like I think we're just all so used to Marvel style of CGI.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just kind of go numb to it, but like it's hard to really tune out bad CGI.
Yeah, but I mean
Yeah.
there we'll talk about the one instance where I'm like it was probably deliberate because it's an unsettling moment, but we'll get to that in our review. All right. I mean, anything else you wanted to touch on before I end this for us?
No, I think we covered a lot of the big stuff here. I mean, we had a good chat, I'd say. I mean, there's a lot of things. I don't know. It's good to have like a little talk about how we feel, like a meeting of the minds instead of doing a full on review of a movie.
Exactly. Well, speaking of reviews, we will have our spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine later this week with like Kevin and Cam, and Josh wants to do it as well. And we'll see if Sarah sees the movie by the time before we review it. But we'll kind of figure out how many of us we're gonna fit into it and when we're gonna do it.
There's going to be a lot. We're going to have to play around with that because that's going to be a lot of voices, a lot of opinions, and a lot of around the table stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to leave anyone out, but
Of course not.
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, and then on the Survivor side of things, Matt and Michael and I are going to continue our Australian Survivor coverage as we go through Blood versus Water. So, loved ones playing Survivor together. It's interesting. But yeah, so we'll get to that, and otherwise, we will see.
I do have one more update though. Actually,
Ooh, go for it.
I can't believe update to our loyal viewers who've been following a lot of our stories and the people group. Pirate Sarah and Kevin have finally announced their true love for one another. They're actually planning on getting married, believe it or not. Still being discussed, but from what they've been telling me, I've been the main man. I'm actually going to be like running the show, the priest, whatever the role is. I got to get my license for that, but I'm going to do it. They asked me. Thank you, Sarah. Me, by the way, I am honored. The dates that they were looking around, they were thinking about around Christmas time because I think according to the moons, the stars, and whatever the fuck's going on in Sarah's head, that's going to be the most likely she's going to be happy. So we're just banking it around that time.
Yeah, well, so in December at our Over the Edge event, our celebrity event with Vanquish, basically a Vanquish family reunion when the wedding.
Exactly. Kevin did request though that he got to wear his Wolverine costume, and he requests the very early editions to where there is no leg coverage whatsoever. It is just straight Speedo style down there. Really hope he either decides to shave. I don't know. His call. I don't think he should. Wolverine's a hairy dude. Kevin's just got to roll with it. Sarah can complain later. But like I said, I'm so happy for those two. Please send the congratulations to those two. They may always talk about how they hate each other, but in reality, they're just expressing their love.
All right. Well, yeah, so that's the big news. Send your congratulations in our email. All right. Well, on that note, we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.
Love you guys.